Next, let's discuss It's Happening Out's Hot Topic of the Week. It's sponsored by the American retail chain Hot Topic, with nearly 700 locations specializing in counterculture-related clothing and accessories representing many varied interests of the LGBTQ plus community, including music, movies, graphic, artists, gaming, and a whole lot more. Hot Topic features one of the largest collections of Pride merchandise that celebrates all aspects of the LGBTQ plus community. Hot Topic is a major supporter of the diversity of our community and supports many events, festivals, and nonprofit LGBTQ plus organizations. And that's why they are the sponsor of It's Happening Out's Hot Topic. World AIDS Day is a global movement to unite people in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Since 1988, communities have stood together on World AIDS Day to show strength and solidarity against HIV stigma and to remember lives lost. However, the HIV epidemic is not over yet. As responsible LGBTQ plus members, in addition to wearing a red ribbon and fundraising for HIV/AIDS organizations, we can help spread awareness of issues affecting people living with HIV by communication without hesitation and accepting the affected community members. Can Community Health and Galleria Fort Lauderdale have joined forces to commemorate this day through an official public event aimed at raising awareness and providing a collective voice for global health on December 1st? This week's hot topic is World AIDS Day is this Friday, and the LGBTQ plus community will struggle with HIV/AIDS and those that we have lost. What do you folks think? I know, what a downer topic. I'm so sorry.
I mean, no. We talked earlier in this episode about the impact of queer elders, and I think that's such an intrinsic conversation. Part of that conversation is how so many of our queer elders have been lost to AIDS and HIV, and I think that it's so amazing that we're now in a world where folks can get HIV and live long, happy, healthy lives and thrive.
Yeah.
You equals you, and I think that's so amazing. But I also think that we need to be able to recognize, that this is still an epidemic,
yes,
right? And that there are still people that are living with HIV who don't have the resources to get treatment. There are still people that die from AIDS and HIV,
and AIDS-related things that happen. Constant, unfortunately, with the PrEPs and with the new medication, there are side effects that cancer is a very high prevalent thing that happens to many people. So this is not over. I always wonder about that big fish bowl of condoms, why it's always full, right? How come nobody ever grabs them? This weekend, actually, for Smart Ride, I went down to Key West, and we had 600 riders that rode from UM all the way to Key West to get funds for HIV/AIDS for those living and thriving with HIV. That's one of the many things that are going on this weekend. Poverello has parts of the quilt, right? Which also, started back, many years ago, and people started in the 80s making this quilt together, people that they had lost. I had read something last World AIDS Day that they were hoping to eradicate AIDS completely by 2030. And here we are in 2023. And I hope and pray that that's a reality, but it doesn't feel like it could be.
I mean, we're making so much progress, right? I mean, Prism is going to be celebrating
the organization that you are head of.
Yeah, it's going to be. We're going to be celebrating, AIDS Awareness Month in full force. And educating as we do. We're going to be participating in the Chai. I actually don't know how to say it, but it's the Chai AIDS Walk down in Miami. And it's going to be a month full of spreading awareness for all of the amazing developments that have happened and folks that are living with HIV. And
I love how you got sober all of a sudden. Well, now, why is the youngin?
I get serious.
You do
when we're talking about sexuality.
Why is the youngin at the table have all the information on this? Are you is it something that you even worry about?
No, it is
for real, John. I'm looking at you.
I know you're looking at me, but the thing is, I've been living through this for a long time. So yeah, there's a lot of education, and a lot of experiences that I've had friends pass as well. But it's something that we try to steer away from. The conversation always gets tough because there is such stigma still living large within society. I mean, when I told my mother that I was on PrEP, she immediately thought I was a floozy, right? She was like, "Oh, are you sleeping around now? Do you have it? Is this something that you're protecting yourself with because you're with someone?" And so it continues to be a real topic in my life. So sure, I'm an asshole because sometimes I'm just like, all right, let's move on because we're living in an age where we can live with HIV. And a lot of my friends do have HIV and they're out and proud about it and they maintain their medication, and they tell their sexual partners that they are.
Yeah. But it makes me sad when somebody's like, F it. If I get it, I get it. I mean,
I'm definitely not like that.
But like,
I'm definitely not. But there's a lot of programs as well that if you take, like Mr. we were just talking about earlier, if you take this, they will give you free health care, and so there's a lot of ways that you can thrive in this community and not be scared of it anymore. And I think my brain now is just like, we're in a better place. So I don't normally talk about it anymore, but not because I'm scared of it or I'm afraid of the stigma. It's just like, I want it to be old news, I guess.
No, I got it. And the white boy next to you is like craving to scream. So
I
like,
think,
I'm gonna ask
you
him
want,
an
bitch.
elimination. What?
I think it's so important to remember and to honor this, because we didn't get HIV and AIDS because we were gay. We got it because there was a healthcare system that was skewed completely against us. There was a political system.
The government
that refused to acknowledge and test and just shoved us all to the side. And even though the threat of AIDS may look very, very different now, they didn't mind wiping us out to almost entirety. And those same people and those same forces, even though AIDS is different, the same people and the same forces are at work just as hard, if not harder, today. This could come back just in a different form in a heartbeat, in the right political environment where people in power just decide to ignore it or push us to the side again.
Yeah.
We can't forget.
Elimination.
So World AIDS Day 35. To Mark's point, the mantra is let communities lead and remember and commit. And the thing is, to Mark's point, if we go back and see what the political parties are doing, they try to cut funding. They try to cut opportunities for folks to get on medicine, to stay on medicine. Think about, and for this story, and those of us who've lived a certain life, we've seen our friends, when they try to get medicine, they have to justify that they have what they have. So imagine the trigger and the trauma of year after year having to prove what they have in order to get medicine to sustain their life. So then we now lose folks because they don't want to reignite themselves through that trauma, that trigger, and then have to justify, I need your help because I have what I have, not for whatever reason. Additionally, we need to look at the young women who are now becoming of large numbers of HIV patients now, and it's because the government
The highest number.
and
Actually,
it is growing.
Black and brown,
in 15 and 24, they're growing because again, education is not being put out there. Funding is not being put into those situations and into schools, into communities where it's being grown because the stigma says I can't love. If I am never going to be in love again. So we don't talk about those conversations. We don't allow same gender loving folks to be seen in loving relationships. 1.3 million in 2022 people have died in 2022.
Wow.
And it's because for a variety of reasons.
That's a lot of people.
And it's a lot of us at this table, I'm pretty sure have even been directly connected to. And I'll let someone else tell that story, but I'll tell mine. I know someone now within our leather community that is in hospice, not because of access, but because of the barriers to prevent them from getting medicine. So it was easier to say, you know what, let me just deal, than to go to an office and says, hey, here's my numbers again. Here's my doctor's appointment. Here's how much money I make. And imagine having to do that year after year after year. At some point you give up, you get tired of it. And then being told, this is not the right document, come back later. There's no more appointments for you. So we have to now, so I think the commitment now for policy, for us, do policy change. Make it so it's easier for access. And health care across the board, but more importantly for our siblings who are struggling, who need that life-sustaining drug, who we know, documented, know that you should never have to prove your status over and over and over again. You live with it daily, but I have to convince you to give me medicine. This is what our siblings are dealing with.
Well, because it's for free, right? You're charged. It's on other people's bills.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly. But that's how it is to get any kind of help.
To get
It's not
anything,
just
yeah.
AIDS.
But again, and unfortunately, but the numbers will continue to grow until that moment,
No,
until
that's a lot of
policy
people.
change.
That's more than what COVID killed that first year. I mean, that's a lot of people. Trini, I have to ask you how this makes you feel. The fact that we're all sitting around the table talking about HIV/AIDS and World AIDS Day on Friday.
So I have been terrified of HIV my entire life, AIDS. Not my entire life, probably in junior high in the late 80s was when I first heard about it because they didn't really talk about on the mainstream news gay men. At least that I remember. When I remember it coming to the forefront was when a woman contracted HIV, and it was Kimberly. Her last name escapes me right now. from a dentist that wasn't sterilizing his instruments, and they think that he had infected so many people in Oklahoma. And they had talked about it, and they had followed her journey, but they didn't follow the journey of the thousands of other people that were dealing with this issue. And I remember seeing it through the lens of a female suffering. And then later on, I learned, like, oh my God, like this was going on in the gay community this entire time. I call it the gay Holocaust because nobody cared.
Yeah.
It's why when I look at people like Al, who lived through this, and they didn't know what it was. They didn't know the information that we have now about how it was transmitted. It was just this gay cancer that was affecting
and
people.
That was how they named it.
Yeah.
Also, at the time.
They
And so if
literally
you
call
were-
it grid.
Yeah, so if you thought that you were gay, like there's these thoughts in your mind like, oh my God, I'm gonna get, maybe it's a genetic thing like that's happening right now. I don't know what's going on with it. My mother when she was on her deathbed was making my aunt promise that they were gonna take care of me when I died. And so, I kept trying to say, like, we don't have to die anymore. It was I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I can't believe I'm holding your hand. I'm holding your hand.
I know it was a very difficult situation.
Of course it is.
Many of the relationships, and when I was on the dating scene, when you would look in the Grindr profiles and you would see people who were HIV positive, you would think like, maybe I'm just gonna not talk to them. And then I met some people, and I got over that. And it was one thing that was, I guess I was proud of myself for being able to accept gay people and not feeling the HIV positive people that you didn't have to. There was ways that you can still be in relationships and you don't have to look at them as damaged goods anymore. And the reason why I'm emotional right now is because even though there are so many treatments for HIV, it is still an epidemic. And right before we went on air, one of my friends, my best friends, told me his partner died of AIDS. And it's still there. You still have to protect yourself. Don't think that it's not a huge issue. You can live with it. You can live a wonderful life. But it is a serious issue. And if we want to eradicate AIDS and not have this issue in our lives, especially as gay men, take care of yourself. Make sure you're getting on PrEP if that works with your body, and make smart decisions.
Thank you. I think we'll finish the segment on that. Thank you so much for sharing your truth with us, Trini. I'm still holding your hand. It feels weird, but I'm going to leave it there.
Cool.